Hello beautiful people, welcome and welcome back to Thrive Out Loud. Thank you so much for joining me. Can I just say how happy I am that you're here? So tell me, how are you guys doing? We sit here, a couple of times a week and we share a little bit of me, but I have no idea how you guys are doing. How do we interact? How do I know how you're doing? So I'd love to hear back from you. Leave a comment, send a DM, slide somewhere. I love to know, just how this relationship is going. So now that you're back, I think it's safe to assume we're on good terms. I really hope we are. So first things first, house rules. In here we like, we comment, we subscribe, click on the bell notification, and we tell a friend to tell another friend to bring some popcorn, because we already know obvious. Lunch bar. Anyway, so we are picking up from where we left off. The story time about this girl getting fired out of the blues, out of the blue, 8 the fucking blue. So if you haven't caught up, or if you haven't watched my previous story time, I think you should probably give that a watch before watching today's installment. This will just give you a bit of context as to where we are, what's going on, because if you just landed here today like, wait, whoa, fired, why? I think that will really help. But today I just want to pick up from where we left off from the last time. So a bit of background, I asked a few questions, I ruffled a few feathers, and before I knew it, I was out of a job. I was jobless, shown the door, and basically, and thank you ma'am for your time, out you go. And as I already mentioned, the company I was working for doesn't have a provident fund, or all the nice stuff you get when you're shown the door. There's none of that. So when you're shown the door, that's literally it. You're shown the door, and your time there is done. So today we'll be picking up from what I did next, what transpired next after receiving my termination letter. And it was a bit sudden, no warning, and it just came out of the blue. So let's get into it. So termination letter served on a Friday evening, and I was expected to sign on the following Monday morning, because normally I was working on site, so I'd normally go to the office, just be there for like a young hour or so, then go to site. So obviously the expectation was that before I head on over to site, I would sign this letter. And obviously I'm not signing anything I don't understand, and I feel like I wasn't given a chance to be told like a human being, a civil human being, to say this is what you did and it's against company policy, and as a result we'll be terminating you. I feel like I wasn't given a normal opportunity to just state my case, fight for myself, defend myself, someone. Hello. But anyway, then the Monday came and my boss wasn't there. Remember, I normally get to work like before a couple of people get to work. So I got there and he wasn't there. The person who was there is my manager. So my manager also didn't ask anything, because after I got my termination letter, I forwarded it to him, and he said he didn't know anything about it, but he would ask what the hell is going on. And now it's Monday and I still haven't had any feedback. So, it just creates a bit of, that uncertainty to say, but what is going on in this environment, And okay, no problem. Then I went on to site, because I'm not about to sign just because there's the bloody deadline. I'm a human being and I think I should be treated as such. And also I wanted to get some legal advice, to get an understanding on what it is that I'm dealing with. Oops, that's the door. Why did I not close the door? Okay. So I just wanted legal advice more than anything, to understand what I'm dealing with. Bella, it's easy to see black and white on a paper when there's black, white, and yellow and orange, and because you're just reading what's on there, not reading between the lines, you actually don't know what you're dealing with. So I didn't want to get myself in a situation where, I'm being backed into corners I don't understand, right? So I wanted to back up a little bit, get some legal, this bloody door, get some legal advice, and, get the show going. I just wanted to understand from basic labor law, from basic labor law, what I was dealing with, right? So it didn't sign, and that week went on very slowly, and no one said anything about it, basically. And according to that letter, I had to start serving my notice period from beginning of August 2022. So it was now like the last week of July, or the second last week of July, somewhere there. But the 1st of August would be a Monday. And from the 1st of August, I wouldn't be going to site anymore. Like, I'd literally be in the office from 8 until 5, and I'd be damned, honestly. So, hey, that week went on, the week went on. No one said anything. No one asked anything. There was no phone call, no emails, nothing. Actually, no, I'm lying. So, I think on the Tuesday, I think it was now the 19th or the 20th, somewhere there, but like a couple of days later, then I saw an email from a boss. He's now circulating that letter that he served to me to everyone in the office. He's showing everyone that this girl is fired, and I told her she's fired, and she's refusing to sign the letter. She hasn't responded. She hasn't said anything. So now it is everybody's knowledge. Everybody knows that baby girl is fired. Now, anyway, life continued. I still continued going to side. I didn't really, like, you'd assume I don't know based on how I was acting, but the daily mantras I had to make, the daily affirmations I had to make, the daily prayers I had to do just to make sure that, it keeps me sane, keeps me, in one piece and intact. I don't mind losing it at home. I don't mind breaking down here and there at the end of the day when I'm at home. But one thing I refuse to do is show the enemy that we have feelings and the feelings are weak. No, I'm not doing that one. So at work, I was just composed, very composed, very together to myself. But once I get home, it would be waterworks. So I feel like that week on its own was a very long week, and it went by. It went, and then then that was that. Then nothing was said really from the management. No one really said anything. So over and above anything, it made me feel like when you feel left out, when you feel alone, when you feel like everyone is just giving you the hands off. Because I get that we're all employees, but some employees are given more reins than others. And I feel like had the tables been turned and I'm in a superior position and a junior member of the company or a junior member of staff is being dismissed unfairly, I don't think I would have just stood by and watched it happening. I don't know, that's just me. I just feel like the way I believe in things being done properly, fairly, if I did a wrong thing, if I was wrong, fine, that's fine. I still believe there are procedures to follow before you just decide to show a person the door, before you just decide to fire a person, which in my case was unfortunately not followed. There was no procedure. There was nothing at all. There was no disciplinary hearings. There was nothing of that sort. So I just feel like steps were skipped, and the people that had voices to speak up about what they saw, they just opted not to say anything. It made me feel like let down. I felt let down. I felt disappointed. I was angry, and I was just in a state, man. I didn't understand why it was so okay, why no one said anything, why no one did anything about it. I didn't get it. I didn't get it. And whenever someone maybe would come to speak to me or check up on me, I also didn't understand why their advice was for me to go and basically plea for my job back. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm being dismissed unfairly, and you're telling me, the victim, to go to the perpetrator. Fella, we need to be fair. And these are the very same people that when I was bullied by the boss's sister told me to apologize because I was the child and she was the older person. So I was disappointed, but I was not surprised, because up until that point I had come to realize this is the environment we're in, and when push comes to shove, you're on your own. So I was disappointed, yes, not shocked at all. And I still knew that even though they kept saying, nah, he will change his mind, maybe he's just angry or whatever, I still knew that, nah, it didn't feel like a temporary thing. It didn't feel like a thing that was gonna go away. It looked like the end, when you've reached the end of a road and it's the end, whatever you say, whatever you do is the end of the road. Whatever you try and do or say doesn't really do much to change the situation. So I said nothing, and then the month of July came to an end. Now here comes August, and August would now be the beginning of the end. Remember, this is now my 30-day notice period, and wow, I just wanna quickly fetch my journal, because I was journaling. I journal every day, but like during that time I was very intentional about communicating my feelings to at least myself. I was journaling every single day, because every single day I had to wake up and go to a place where I know I'm not wanted, a place where I know I'm not appreciated, a place where I know I'm not valued, and a place where I know more than anything I'm being oppressed, I'm being bullied, and I am being victimized simply for raising my voice. The very thing we advocate for, especially in our industry, it's a man's world. So if you're going to be one woman in a room with 50 men, and your voice is just not allowed, your voice is just not given a platform to be heard, then who are we really fooling here? So during that time, I was obviously journaling quite a lot. This is my best friend. Like, guys, I don't know what I would be without this bad baby over here. So I'll just go on over to August. So that's day one. You see it, I'm not making stuff up. So day one, I said day one of the end. Dear diary, not my anxiety slapping me in the face every couple of seconds. This is officially day one of my 30-day notice at work, and man, am I feeling. I'm being unfairly dismissed, and food is being snatched from my mouth, but we soldier on. The atmosphere is pretty weird, counting the hours so I can make it back home. So on the 1st of August, this was a Monday, and by now, okay, I skipped a couple of parts, but bear with me. So from the time I was served with the letter of termination to the time when I now had to start serving my notice period, there was about a two-week gap in all of that. So in that time frame, I managed to acquire the services of legal practitioners. They're called legal leaders. They're somewhere here on YouTube. I'll link them in the description box down below. I'll also link their details in case someone finds themselves in a bit of a muddy situation like mine. So I found these guys, and initially I wanted to have a initially what they start with is a consult, where they basically look at your case, and then they're able to advise you as to whether you have a case or not and how to proceed further. So I presented my case to them, gave them everything, like told them the whole story from start to finish. And at the end of that consult, it was basically confirmed that you were unfairly dismissed because they didn't follow the pop-up procedure, and there's no misconduct or insubordination on your part, things that call for an immediate dismissal. There was none of that. There was no disciplinary procedure, there was no consultation, there was no, like, they basically pinpointed you out of a bunch of people and decided to get rid of you. So based on those facts, and considering everything that's already on the termination letter and whatnot, then they confirmed that I actually have a case. So the next step would be to refer the matter to the CCMA. So CCMA, guys, I remember back in varsity when we would, what subject was it? Something like management, project management or management. But in that subject, there was a whole chapter about CCMA. And I remember when doing that, and I just thought, it's just one of those modules, just theory, cute to do. We know it, you memorize, you write tests and exams, and you go right past it. No problem there. But I never in my wildest dreams thought, hore, it would be me and the CCMA. So, dealing with one another telephonically, no ways. I never, yeah, a CCMA on speed dial, never saw it happening. But anyway, I was backed into a corner. I honestly felt like I was dismissed unfairly based on personal reasons, and a lawyer also confirmed that no, you were unfairly dismissed based on the reasons given and based on the situation that you've explained. You had every right to ask a question about your salary. You had every right to, query. You had every right not to go to work if you are not paid. Those are well within your rights. But because we work for people that try their level best to oppress us, to pin us down, and to stop us from speaking up, and to cover our mouths and kill our voices, you end up in situations where like a couple of other former classmates of mine. There's a couple of them that I know who unfortunately landed in hands where the employer is a heartless person, the employer treats them unfairly, and they end up losing interest in civil engineering as a whole. It has happened before, and it pains me to admit that at some point I was there, in as much as I'm doing a lot of things here and there. But when you went to school for a thing and you paid a lot of money to study for this thing, and it's an industry where I like they say it has money, they say it doesn't have money, it's up to you what you believe. But in an industry where it's an essential service, there's always construction happening. Without roads, how are we traveling from point A to B? Without hospitals, without infrastructure, what's the world gonna become? But in an industry where there's so much room for growth, for potential, but it is the gatekeepers are unfortunately people that are killing the passions of people that are still going in. So I was in a position where I had lost interest, honestly, in a thing that I loved so much because of where I was working. So on that 1st of August, then I decided to now file my query with the CCMA, because the thing about the CCMA, you only have 30 days from the day you were served with a letter of termination. You have 30 days, a 30-day period to refer your matter to the CCMA. You're basically filing Form 711, and then now you hand it over to them. So there I was in the office, and I was left with only 14 days. Remember, I was served with my letter on the 15th of July. I have until the 15th of August to refer the matter to the CCMA, and I will be spending the entire 30 days in the office. So my biggest fear was that I'm going to refer the matter to the CCMA, and they are going to inform him that I reported him, and then he is going to victimize me because, obviously it's kind of a dispute. But I realized that, at this point, this person doesn't care about your feelings. So you being afraid of how they're going to feel is really not helping anyone at this point. So I just had to put on my big girl panties and get the ball moving. So I filled in that form, filled in everything, all the blocks, everything, and they are damn fast. You know how South African government things are partly cloudy, we know, right? But not the CCMA, not the CCMA. So I remember I filled in that form, and not even an hour went past where they gave me feedback with a reference number, with the other party's reference number. Like, basically they've communicated with me, they've communicated with him. It's now an official matter. It's now in the hands of the CCMA. Not my heart, anxiety, nerves, during the names, I was so nervous, but I had to do it. There was no other way around it, because even if I waited for the 15th, it would still be the same environment. I'd still be in the office, and I doubt anything would have changed between the 1st and the 15th. So I had to do what I had to do. Then okay, no problem. Referred the matter to the CCMA, and then they notified him. They contacted him to say a person has lodged a dispute against you, and so then I had to wait it out, wait for the storm. And the unsettling feeling, I don't know what to compare it to, but that unsettling feeling after you have reported someone and you're waiting for the backlash. Basically, you're waiting for them to come and fetch you. So and the day was going on. I think an hour passed, 2 hours passed, and then he came to the office, because he's not normally in the office. Sometimes he comes in and out, but then he came to the office. My heart, I felt it escaping. I felt my soul leaving my body. I felt my soul just leaving, sitting next to me and looking at me. Girl. Anyway, tense. And then, just as I'd imagined, he came to my office. He fetched me, and he came.
Are you? Come here. You come.
Then he called me to the boardroom, and he had printed out the CCMA confirmation stuff that they sent him, and basically gave me a 20-minute rant about the absolute most. He went in, told me how useless I am, told me how, am I visible here? Told me how ungrateful I am, told me how I declared war against him, he said I'm an angry human being for reporting him to the CCMA. He said I am a little girl who doesn't know what she's doing, and I think I know how to run a company, and I want to show him how to run a company, and some stuff, like some hectic stuff. He told me hiring me was a mistake. That was one of the highlights. And he told me that he's basically been donating money to me for the last 5 years because I am so useless.
Useless strong man.
Useless. So he went in. He went all the way in. Like, he went on and on and on and on a rant. And I just feel like, from a personal point of view, as an adult, those are not things you say to anyone, and those are not things you say to a child, and those are not things you say to a person in a professional setting. But obviously by now we have established that there's nothing professional about the setting, and there's nothing normal about the normal that we were used to. So here I was now being threatened, being victimized, being bullied, and basically I feel like that was his ploy to maybe get me to say, no, I didn't mean it, I'm sorry, can I have my job back, that kind of stuff. But by now the damage has been done, and
What you did to me cannot be undid. There is no way.
we are going to war. Hey, if it is war you want, it is war you get. We are going. Hey, good game. Then obviously now things are just, tricky for a while. And then he told me to go back to the office. Like, he went in, obviously it was a 20-minute thing, and it was a lot. Like, it was a lot. And, word for word, I'm just summarizing. The long gist of it is he told me just how useless I am, and how crappy I am, and how much of a terrible human being I am, and that I've declared war on him, where he has been good to me for 5 years. So obviously our idea of good is not the same, and we left it at that. Then I went back to the office because he said, then he said, go back to your office. Before I put my bum down on the chair, he was here in my office once again. And now this was to tell me, Hore,
No, you know what? In fact, don't even touch anything in here.
Don't just log off from the desktop, remove all your stuff from the desktop, and don't ever touch it again. Don't ever touch it ever again. How? So now what am I doing at work if I'm not touching anything? So I just kept busy on my laptop, because genuinely there's a lot of stuff to do. Life is busy, and life is too short to focus on what's going wrong. So for now, personally, I saw it as it was painful, but it was like the universe's way of getting rid of baggage. Sometimes the devil comes to you in the form of the thing you want the most, or the thing you feel like you need the most. For me, my mental health has never ever been as low as it was over the last couple of years. It has never been as terrible, like non-existent, horrific, to say the least, over the last couple of years. And more than anything, it always popped up in my mind to say, but why do you keep working here? But the answer would always be, because I need to pay the bills. But over the last couple of years, I don't know how many income streams I have had while working the same 9 to 5. I was working there as a civil engineer. I was lecturing somewhere. I was doing keys parties somewhere. I was writing freelance writer somewhere else. I then created my own blog, created my own podcast, created this. So it just goes on to say that, it just goes on to show that sometimes we get stuck in a point of comfort because we're afraid of the unknown. We're afraid of not knowing what's next. But after this unthinkable was done to me, and I was forced to think quick, because now the thing I was afraid of doing for the last couple of years was done to me. He didn't even blink. He did it within the blink of an eye, and I was out. He kicked me out of the door, and there was nothing else I could do. Now I had to think fast to say, but for the longest time, you always put your stuff on the back burner because you're employed and you're trying not to offend anyone. And now they don't care whether they offend you or not. So then it was weird, man. It was weird. It was just weird atmospheric vibes. Weird. And then I think a day or two later, then I was told that, you know what, in fact, don't even come to work anymore. You'll serve the rest of your notice period at home. And yeah, man, just go, man, because now you are a traitor. We don't trust you. Emails were circulating. It was a whole thing. And yeah, I'll touch base on it in the next video because I feel like this is becoming a bit too long. But yeah, we'll get into it in the next installment on like basically the days leading to the CCMA hearing, because by now the CCMA had given me a date, and they had given me, I think, the 19th of, and it was like 2 weeks from that point. So that would be the CON-UB hearing, which I'll touch on in the next video. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Thrive Out Loud. As always, it's a pleasure sitting here sharing a bit of myself with you. But like I said earlier, I'd love to hear from you guys. Drop a DM yana somewhere, a comment here and there, like here and there, a share. It would be nice to know that, you know, this is reaching someone, it's impacting someone, even if it's just one life. But reminder about the house rules in here: we like, we comment, we share, subscribe, we click on the bell notification, and we tell a friend to tell another friend to bring on some popcorn. See you next time. Bye.